Hi, everybody. Well, today in the studio, we have the Reverend Dasher Rocket, who is an artist, and Dora, his little sweet dog there. And
Yeah.
we're going to be asking Dasher a few questions regarding his artwork. And I guess what we can start with is if you would like to talk about your background and how you became an artist or how you got into art.
I've always kind of done art my whole life. I mean, as a kid, I can remember like sitting at my grandfather's desk drawing. Um, I went to art school at Seton Hill University, where I studied painting and printmaking.
Hmm.
Oh, quit it! And then I came back to went back and got my graduate work done in art therapy from Seton Hill as well. So I have a art therapy degree as well, and then kind of just really have always been making art. Have really always kind of been in the community locally with the arts.
Hmm.
Been pushing a lot lately towards doing public art and doing more mural work and things like that. So that's what I'm working towards right
Oh,
now.
nice, nice.
Mhm.
Yeah, I always thought that was interesting, art therapy. I mean, because
Mhm.
art itself just seems to be therapeutic, at least for me
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
You kind of just get into it and forget everything that's going around you. And
Hmm.
I always thought that that was very helpful for people that have issues in their lives, mental
Hmm.
health
Hmm.
issues and things. So, well, maybe you can explain what type of art you do, what your I guess genre. I don't know if it's the same as music, but what
Well, I
typically?
mean, currently the work I'm doing is I do I'm reworking classical Renaissance paintings
Mm.
in my style with me as the main character in every part of them.
Oh, nice.
So right now, they're typically all done. Sorry, that's my refrigerator. They're typically all done with oil on paint. This one back here is acrylic. This
Oh,
is an example of Velasquez.
uh-huh.
It's one
Okay.
of the paintings of the Prince of Spain with his dog. So it kind of just turned out that like this is before I got Dora, but it kind of turns out that this dog looks like Dora, so it worked out
Uh-huh.
well. But yeah, so that's typically what I'm doing right now. I'm redoing the Botticelli, the Renaissance painter, did in his career. I don't quote me on it, but in his career, like over 100 um, virgins and mothers,
Mm-hmm.
or
Oh.
virgins and childs. So like the Pieta and different scenes with like different saints and whatever else. So I'm redoing all of those
Mm-hmm.
for a show coming up in Columbus in 2023. So I'm redoing all of those where I'm every character in all of them done in a kind of popish Renaissance style, if that makes sense.
Oh. Now,
So,
do you work in acrylic mostly, or
huh?
do you work in acrylic mostly?
Acrylic, just paint in general. Currently, I'm working in oils. These most recent ones are going to be all in oils.
Mm-hmm.
So there'll be I do an acrylic underlaying, and then I do a milk paint process, which is kind of like it's an impasto paint, so it's a thicker paint. I do that underneath the acrylic, and then I do an oil paint on top of it to add layers to it. So
Mm-hmm.
I typically am using I'm also using the same color schemes and same color hues that would have been used at that period of time in the Renaissance. And then I'm also using the same math and layout process that goes
Mm-hmm.
into the way they did their paintings at that point in time. So
Okay.
they're very replicated of that process, but they're also like their own little thing. So that's what I've
Okay.
been doing.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's I've not talked to anyone that has done that. Like the old day, how they started
Mm-hmm.
it. So I think that's really it probably
Yeah,
has to be very time consuming too.
it
How
is. It is. I'm currently working on a mural for a tattoo parlor in Jeanette, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
That I'm going to be redoing the School of Athens, which is the Raphael painting from the Sistine Chapel,
Oh, wow.
in as a paint by number coloring book,
Mm.
but with it sectioned off. So three sides. So it's four sections of the building. So three sides of that, and then a big dragon coming out the back as like a design element. But like these three, redoing the whole canvas in the background and redoing the whole setting. So I'm kind of excited about that. That's going to be a big project. So that'll probably be a 2 month project. So that's kind of
Wow.
how I've been working on large scale kind of stuff lately.
Yeah.
So
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm always afraid. I like the smaller scale myself.
well,
Like big scale, it just kind
mhm.
of, I guess it would all fit in. I mean, but it's just,
Yeah, I think for me, like I come from a graffiti background in a lot of
Mhm.
ways. So like I come from doing that kind of large scale work
Mhm.
just with lettering and stuff. So I always think my work looks better, bigger. So I've been just slowly progressing towards bigger and bigger. Like I'm in the process of redoing the Bjord tapestry, which is the tapestry from the Battle of Hastings in 1066, which was like it's the example shows the Normans coming all over, swimming over the ocean, and the battles and stuff a lot. But it's in real life, it's like 96 feet long.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm in the process of sectioning it off and redoing it, but with me as every character in every one of them. So they're very cartoony and kind of So that's been fun. But I have one section finished, and it's like, what is it? It's like 8 feet long right now is where I'm at.
Wow.
So yeah, and it's short too. So it's only 2 feet high,
Okay.
but it's super long. So that's
Mhm.
what I've been working on. What's one of the other things I'm working on as well right now.
Wow. Yeah, you're pretty
So
busy with all this. So, well, let's see. So I asked you about how you got into art. It was basically when you were young, you started, and I think
Mhm.
most of us, at least the people that I've interviewed so far, seem to have like started at a young age,
Mhm.
and they progress. Now, myself, I couldn't. I mean, my first oil painting, I think, I was 11.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's just like you progress, and then I took classes at also in college and things. So they now that the art school isn't there, I don't know what people do. I mean, they have to take it
Yeah.
in college. So your inspirations, they come from like the medieval ages and Renaissance
Well, I
ages.
mean, a lot. I have a lot of different inspiration. Currently, right now, like I said, the work I'm doing is based on that, and the
Mhm,
inspiration comes from like a lot of the processes of the painting and things like that is all based in that. But like the style inspiration is very poppy art, kind of pop art,
mhm,
kind of flat and
mm,
base. I do a lot of flower constructions and things like that, so I do a lot of nature based stuff.
mhm,
But they're all typically narrative organic elements. They have like a Miro kind of feel to them, like an abstract expressionist kind of feel to them in the painterly style.
mhm,
They're hard to photograph because they're
mhm,
very layered. So in person they really come off. I
mhm,
just had a show at the Thought Robber Gallery, and that was one of the things, like seeing them all together. So for the last solo show I did 65 of them, which was from the paintings in era from early Renaissance to Caravaggio and Rubens. So it was that period of like early Renaissance to Baroque, and it was just based on the paintings that I liked the most, and I wanted to paint the
mhm,
most. And they all kind of had a very cohesive element color scheme and stuff like that to them. So they look really well together, and they look
mhm,
they look good by themselves too. But I was really impressed with how they all look together. I was really happy with the way the
mhm.
show came out. So
Yeah, it all,
I think that's kind of
yeah,
have a lot of inspiration to different things.
that's great. Well, who is your favorite like artist? I mean, who's inspired? Who was your uh, a- as well? Like I guess in college, like my favorite was oh my, Mary Cassatt, and
Mm-hmm.
that era with the Impressionists. But um, of course, I don't paint like her, but I wondered,
Mm-hmm.
thought she was amazing. Do you have any special artists that you like?
Well, I think when I was younger, I mean, it was like graffiti art and abstract expressionism was like what my inspiration was
Mhm,
because I've gotten older, I'm getting more into the just like really Amsel Kiefer, Lucian Freud, Chuck Close,
mhm,
and then there's some lowbrow artists out there that are pretty amazing. Derek Hess. I wouldn't say Jeff Koons is lowbrow, but I think he's just kind of funny.
mhm,
And then, a lot of my art is about kind of taking it so it's not so serious. I really approach art in regards to the fact that everyone should like it, so it should just be kind of funny.
yeah.
So a lot of the art I do is about being funny and about kind of just making a joke of what's going on with the art
Mhm,
world in general. So
mm,
there's a couple comedians I like a lot, but yeah, there's currently right now I'm just really stoked on Botticelli and just like the way he paints faces and the way he does skin tones.
Uh-huh.
I went out to Chicago to see Botticelli and El Greco in particular. I went out to see them in Chicago. I went out to Chicago to see the few of the paintings they had there, and just was very impressed by just the way, those paintings are 500 years old and they're still have a development to the flesh tone that you just you have to get. Part of the reason is they don't make those colors anymore that they had back then.
Mm-hmm.
At that point in time, they used to cut apart mummies to make a brown.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't do that anymore. So you have to kind of find ways to make it work in your paintings too. So I've been finding with oils, different methodology that I can use that kind of helps and works the process. So very scientific about how I approach art in a lot of ways. I approach it but it's also very much like a job to me. So it's I sit down and I figure it out, so it is.
Very good. Yeah. Well, that's, I think, if you're a really good artist, that's probably what you do. You kind of think it out.
Yeah, I mean, and I've always been kind of irked by artists that will say that they weren't inspired to do something. It's no, you're getting paid to do it. Be inspired. That's you have to get something done. Yeah, so be inspired to go to work.
Yeah.
I have to.
Yeah.
And that was
you better do it right.
And I'm lucky enough that I'm at the point in my career where I can, I can pick and choose what I want to do. I don't have to. I don't have to be doing something I don't want to do. And I have the I don't know whatever it is, but I have people approach me now to do commissions that they're like, hey, I want this done. I had a guy approach me that he wanted to do, one of his favorite paintings was Hieronymus Bosch's Garden of Earthly Delight with the 3 panels and 3 stages. And and it's one of the paintings I've always loved. That painting. I love Hieronymus Bosch. He's one of the most really great painter. And so he's like, hey, what do you want to do with this? And I was like, oh, I want to make it so that I'm everybody in it. And he was just he's like, okay, cool. And and he commissioned it for me and got it done. And he's proud of it. He shows off to all his friends. And that's just really the nice thing. It's also nice to kind of see, with the public art I do, I like to see it in the background of it's funny when I see stuff that I've done in the background of people's Instagram posts. I've done murals in bars and stuff like that, or selfie stations or whatever. And it's nice to see scrolling through Instagram or Facebook. I'm like, oh, there's one. I did that, and it's not, and I'm not very big on the whole name credit stuff. You know what I mean? I'm just more about I just like to do the work and to see people enjoy it. So
that's good. Yeah. You don't have an ego with it.
Oh, I have an ego with it.
Oh,
so, all of it, again, I'd like to remind you, every single painting is a painting of me in multiple Renaissance.
Well, yeah, with your background.
There's definitely, there's definitely an ego to it, but it's more. I think the ego is kind of it's a comedic approach to it.
Yeah,
it's the extreme end of ego, whereas I'm everything, so it's funny. I don't know if everybody gets the joke.
Yeah, well, that's all right.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll be remembered. You're in there.
Yeah, maybe hopefully.
Yeah. So, well, so being inspired, how to produce, how does your inspiration continue? Do you have to keep looking at different things, or is it just how people ask you to do something? Or
well, I mean, when it comes to commissions, it's just more of it's a matter of that's what they want. You know what I mean? And if they ask me to kind of do it, I can do what I want to do, and I'll do that. When it comes to stuff, personal work, for the show that I'm planning for the Columbus area, typically what I do is, so for the Botticelli Marys, there's Virgin Marys, there's so many of them, an example that I have a lot of printouts of them that are larger color, larger, decent, prints of them done. Put those on a light table, and I just start drawing with them, and I just repeatedly draw them and change them and put characters in them and just do different things to kind of work them so that I get them set. And from that is kind of what I do the inspiration from. So I just have a process. So if I'm in between paintings, so I typically work 5 paintings.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. You're all good. Okay. Sorry about that. My phone just.
Oh, no, that's all right. Yeah, sometimes that happens. I know that happened last week. Phones are a pain. Yeah. So okay. So now, do you ever get a creative block, and how do you overcome that? I guess not.
Well,
If
I
you,
mean, that's yeah. I mean, the thing with that is, I very much approach it like it's a profession. You
hmm
know what I mean? And like you can't, in regards to the creative block, like I said, I work typically in five at a time paintings. I work for five paintings at a time, so that I can keep, because I'm a printmaker by trade. So I
hmm
learned how to paint. I learned how to make art through printmaking. So like I think about things in layers and just how I think about things. So I'm always kind of processing. So
hmm
in between paintings, I'm processing the next five drawings that I'm going to have for the next five paintings. So like, and then between each, so after I finish this series, I will take about 2 months off to like kind of observe like newer stuff and try to find a new set of inspiration. And that's typically done in research. And I do a lot of research, and then I do a lot of like documentary watching and just kind of learning about someone in particular, or learning about a style. I think my next one is going to be, I'm going to try to redo all of Caravaggio paintings,
hmm
but just with me as everybody in them. Um, which is just, again,
I
it's
think that's
funny
great.
because
That
also
is,
you have to think about this. So like that extends out to like, so there's a bunch of Caravaggio paintings with like horses and dogs in them. So
uh-huh,
I'm also going to make myself horses and dogs, or I might make Dora the horse or dog. I don't know. It
uh-huh,
might be fun.
yeah,
I'm going to play with it. But
yeah,
then I just kind of, and that's kind of, so how I kind of avoid creative block is I always kind of have, I can always just paint some green. You know
uh-huh,
what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? And then from there, just kind of go, and it flows in and it flows in and out. And
mhm.
yeah, it's
So
really,
COVID didn't have any effect on you as far as
COVID actually got the system higher functioning. So in
cool.
COVID, I was able to break down the painting system that I use to make it so it was more productive. So I was
hmm
actually able to push out my numbers higher than what I was. And then, with that, it also gave me a lot more time to do a lot more research in regards to the fact
Yeah.
of the Renaissance. So that's really where, so part of the research for the Renaissance and the inspiration of the Renaissance was because of the pandemic, because, the Renaissance was a response to the Black Death in direct.
hmm
And I mean, there's been a lot of research and things like that. So, in doing the research that followed with the paintings, I was able to kind of find that there was connective factors. So I could kind of trace them back. And that's kind of where that solid inspiration came from, was a response to the pandemic. And then from there, it's just kind of gone from there. So,
hmm
I was really happy in the pandemic. I have autism, so it was like pretty awesome to be
Oh,
alone
really?
by myself all the time. So,
Oh, okay.
I mean, it was just like me and, oh, sorry, that was weird, loud.
Laura.
Yeah.
So
Well,
you're
Dora wasn't
autistic.
around at that point. Dora's only been around a month.
This is interesting. You are autistic, so you
Mm-hmm.
must be a high level autistic.
Well, I mean, yeah, at one point in time it was Asperger's,
Okay.
but yeah, it's not. I try
Well,
not to identify it as part of who I am. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It's not like something that I'm really, but it's something I have to be aware of. It's just how I
yeah,
react differently to things. But yeah, I've had, yeah, it's just how I am.
yeah.
It's
Well,
just okay.
last year I uh, interviewed Uncle Dave Howard. I don't know if you know of
Yeah, I
him.
know Dave. Yeah.
Yeah, and he has autism also. And I mean, it just is amazing because people don't realize there are different types of autism, and you can function, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
there's
I mean,
one that,
I think one of the biggest misconceptions about autism is that it's, that, it's the media's perception of autism, which
yeah,
is, in regards to the fact. But there's,
yeah.
there's just a lot of examples of just very successful people that identify as having autism.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't diagnosed with autism until I was in my 30s.
Oh, wow.
Um, it was one of those things. It was like my daughter has autism, and
Oh, wow.
kind of happened together.
Mhm. Hmm.
It was like one of those like, oh wow, that makes sense kind of moments in my life. But it is what it is.
Yeah. Well,
I just have to be aware of it.
yeah, and you're doing
It
fine.
helps. I think it helps in regards to the fact that I'm more directly motivated to do one thing at a time, and I can
Right.
be very focused on one topic for a very, very long time, and to the point of detriment to myself or others. You know what I mean? Like I could stick with something for so long, it's like, what the hell are you doing this for? But yeah, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I mean, we all do that. I think it doesn't matter,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
uh, your style, whatever it is. I mean, that's who you are, so. Well, this has been very informative. I don't know if you'd like to add anything else, maybe some of the shows that you're going to be involved in. You said next year you're going to be doing something in Ohio and you're working on that now. Is that right? Did I get that right?
What? I'm sorry.
That you said you were actually involved working on things for next year in Ohio.
Yeah. I'm hopefully having a show in 2023 in Columbus, Ohio. I think the gallery and I are in talks with it right now. Currently, I mean, you can see my work. It's Green Beacon Gallery in Greensburg is a good place to see my stuff.
Okay.
I have stuff in the Art in the Alleyway in town. I'll be working on a mural in downtown Jeanette, working on some like really great stuff in Jeanette as well, with a company.
Are you from that area, Greensburg?
Huh?
Are you
yeah,
from
I
that
live in
area?
Greensburg currently. Yeah.
My
So I mean,
husband-
Greensburg's a good little town. It's a good little art town.
Yeah.
It wants to be a good art town. It has a Greensburg.
Hey,
So.
yeah, that in Latrobe or no, am I right? Not Latrobe. The other one that begins with an L. I can't.
Ligonier.
Yeah, Ligonier.
Ligonier. Yeah, Ligonier has a good art community as well. Yeah.
Yeah. My husband. Well, he's a musician and he's in a band. They're going to be at the Iron City Brew. It's Iron City. It's some sort of Iron City dinner place this Friday. I'm real good with things.
Iron Rock.
Yeah, Iron Rock. That's it.
Yeah, that's out by the casino. Yeah.
Yeah. That's in that little mall area right before the mall. And he was with. Oh, geez, I'm so bad at where we go all the time because half the time I don't even go. It's too far. They go out to Ligonier and I don't go because we're on like. I don't know if you know where Century 3 is, where that area is. I'm from that area. So if he goes out too far, I don't go, but I'm going to go to the Iron Rock. Yeah. That's Friday. It's his band is Cromer's band. And it's a lot of fun, you know.
Yeah.
And I wish we were more into art here, you know, like there's nothing, you know, you belong to a couple organizations, but they don't do too much. You know,
yeah, that's the hard thing. You know, I mean, a lot of times the art's focused just to the inner city, you know, and you know, and a lot of us artists aren't living in the inner city at this point in time because they just can't afford it. You know, so I think that,
you know, if you get into one, it can be expensive. I mean, I can only afford a couple, so
yeah.
So yeah, and I don't want to go and exhibit my artwork in some mall. I want to go somewhere else, you know, something more like a gallery.
That's the thing, you know, that's one of the things that I think, you know, I think a lot of artists, you know, suffer. I don't want to say suffer from, but you know, this mystique that, you know, galleries and whatnot are better locations to show. You know, I typically show in bars, and I typically show in public art and like in different locations that are not traditional gallery locations because, you know, I feel that I very much hate the term installation art because it's just how I hate the term. I'm not against galleries and I'm not against the process of galleries, but I think the gallery process in itself is so isolating and so just cliquey, and it's within itself that it, you know, it helps deter very talented artists from being part of that process to the point where, you know, I've been to galleries that I've been rejected from and then shown at the next gallery next door, and the reason why I was rejected from is because the lady didn't like the fact that I got my prints out of the back of my trunk. You know what I mean? Or, you know, and it's like that I'm not presenting a proper artist image. It's like, you know what, screw you.
Yeah. Well, that's
you know, it's like whatever. You know, so
something you're not. I mean, that's another thing. You know, I don't want to have to do what they want. I mean, I want to do what I want because that's my inspiration. It's not their inspiration. So
I think that's, you know, I think more artists would benefit from allowing themselves the opportunity to show in different locations and non-traditional elements. Yeah. Whether it be, I don't like craft shows. I think craft shows are impossible. I've tried a craft show or two, and you know, and it's just like it's absurd to watch people look at my paintings at a craft show and be like, "What do you want me to buy this for?" And it's like, well, you know, the Three Rivers Arts Festival is great, but they're expensive to get a part of.
Yes.
You know, there are a lot of like little, small, like little groups that are out there that are just doing stuff. And there's also little small galleries out there that are just kind of showing that aren't as traditional. So they're more open to just kind of different ideas and things like that. So
Well,
there's always the
yeah,
opportunity.
a lot of those shows too. I mean, they don't want to spend the money,
Yeah.
like on the art. They think it should be like $20, and they
Yeah,
realize
they do.
all the money that you put into a piece.
They don't. And I mean, and that's part of that is, artists, for how long did artists were expected to get things for free because it was just good for your career. And I'm at this, I know for myself as an artist, I'm at the point in my career where I don't do that anymore.
Yeah,
and it's not because it's not because I'm greedy or selfish or whatever. It's because you wouldn't expect me to come do your plumbing for free.
That's right. Yeah, like that's
or
exactly
you
right.
wouldn't expect me to come do this or that. And and I mean, it's like, I don't think my, part of my approach of art wise anyways is very much about the idea of it being accessible to everyone. So I don't outprice myself. I rarely price anything for over $500. Not because I don't know. It's not because I don't know the value of what I do. I just more feel that it's important for people to own it than it is for me to sit in my studio at a, at this exorbitant rate. Now, like, I'm not gonna lie to you, if I come to find out that someone sold it for like $2,000 afterwards, after I sold it to Virtue, I would be a little irritated at first, and I'd probably not do that again for them. But it is the issue of like, I very much agree that everyone should have it. So if they want it, then they're like, I can only give you blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna be like, cool.
I've done that. Like I've undersold things.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I can only store so much in my home.
Yeah.
And I've done several things. I've like exhibited. I did several years. I did an exhibit out at Mount Lebanon Library, and it was good. I mean, I always sold something there all the time. But I don't know. I just kind of like don't like to do it. I like to do it for YouTube. I will do a painting, maybe teach somebody. That's how I like to do it right now. I've been in all the other things, and I don't know, something happened. I don't know what it is. I just feel like I don't want to do that anymore. Maybe it's because of my age or whatever, I don't know. But I enjoy just being me at home and doing what I want, after I retired. So, but we all have our own way of doing things, I guess.
Yeah.
But, well, you know what? It was a real pleasure talking with you.
It was nice talking to you too.
Yeah, had a good.
I'll definitely check out everything, and I'll get the links up and stuff like that on my end on my page and stuff. If anybody wants to reach me, they can reach me at basically Facebook. Just Google search Daisher Rocket. Find information. Okay. I do commissions. If anybody wants commissions, if anybody wants a mural done, get a hold of me.
Now, if I would want. If I would want a commission and I'd want my face in that, would that happen?
if you wanted to, like that's something too. Like it's not. I'm not completely against the idea of exploring the other ideas. You know what I mean? It's like I just think it's funny. The stuff I do is just all of me. If someone commissioned me to do a painting of them in a Renaissance painting is everything, I would do definitely 100% do that. Yeah. I did a painting. Someone commissioned me to do. It's an El Greco painting where all the characters of the painting were the members of the Grateful Dead. I did that for someone, so
that's cool.
They were very happy with that. But that was fun. I mean, that's kind of stuff. You can do a lot of neat stuff with it. It's just a matter of whether or not people are willing to try for it. So
I think it would be fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it was good, and thank you again. And we'll be here on Sunday.
Okay. All right. All right.
Bye-bye.
I'll talk to you later. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.